Y'all didn't know you were coming to like our 45th Easter birthday party, did you? Like, it's a combo party today. Man, I'm psyched that you guys are here. Overflow, are you still good? Are you still around? Yes, okay. I'm going to be looking at these cameras as much as I can remember to do it. And listen, this is the fourth time I'm doing this today. And I am raring to go. I'm ready to go. Also, it's hot in the room. Can we just acknowledge that? Those welcome home cards, just that's your fan, all right? You're welcome. Just fan it, and if you feel like it, fan me while you're doing it. Anyway, I'm psyched that you guys are here. What's crazy is a lot of our regulars, as packed as we are today, a lot of our regulars are out of town every Easter. And so they are, a lot of them are in Florida, a lot of them are in the Outer Banks, but they join us online. And so regular church family who is online for Easter break, we are so thankful that you're hanging out with us. Can we just make some noise for our online family real quick? Yeah. So I'm really excited because today's Easter message, my 2026 Easter message, I always name my messages. I'm naming this one, and we'll put this on the screen. The Goodest news. Everybody say Goodest. Goodest. That is not a real word. I made it up. You're welcome. Okay. Now, since we have a lot of new people in the room, maybe a lot of new people on Overflow or watching online right now, a couple things you need to know about our church. Number one is I ask questions a lot. And the more you all answer, the shorter I preach. So there is incentive for you because we're getting near lunchtime. The second thing is I think church should be fun. I think this should be a place where we can laugh and we can let loose. And so I like to tell jokes. A lot of them aren't funny, but the more you sympathy laugh at me, the shorter I preach. Are you getting what I'm saying? Okay, so here's my question. Is there anything that just makes you happier no matter what's going on in your life? If you see that thing, you get that thing just makes you happier? Okay, a lot of the people in Overflow are like, a seat in the room would have made me happier. Next year, all right, we got you, hopefully. But let me give you some examples because maybe that's a little vague for you. This morning, I woke up at 5 a.m. and I don't know, you probably don't think about it from my perspective, but today's sort of a big deal. A lot going on, it's sort of a lot of pressure. And so I woke up at 5 a.m. really excited to go, but I walked out in our kitchen and on the countertop was this big old peanut M&M bag, party size. And my wife wrote this note. She said, "To the best dad, husband, and pastor, happy Easter." Do you think I got happier right then? Absolutely. And maybe you want this, like you're going to snag this bag from me. No, I will Jesus kick you on Easter. All right. But that made me happier. And maybe what makes you happier or happy is this Reese peanut butter egg. And I just got to see what kind of people we're working with this service. How many of you already ate your egg? Just raise your hand. Okay, yes. Yeah, if the tomb is empty, so should this be. All right, Now, let's see. Who's responsible? Who is saving it? You haven't eaten it yet? Oh, okay. You don't have to rub it in, okay? Put your hands down. All right. Something else that just makes me happier is this picture of my dog. We'll put up on the screen. This is my dog, Charlie, and rocking his bathrobe. I don't know about you, but I could be having the worst day in the world. If I see a dog in people clothes, I'm happier. Now, Charlie, just so you know, he is not a happy dog. He's a yappy dog. Anybody got the yappy dogs? He's a yapper. He will bite you. It doesn't matter if you're an innocent little child or if you're a preacher, he will bite you. He's bitten me, but if he bites me with a robe on, I'm good. It's just it just makes me happy, okay? The other thing that makes me happy kind of goes back to my childhood. I was born in 1982, which makes me from the 1900s. So if you're able, or are you 1900s people, if you're able, you have the strength in your arm, can you lift it up if you're from the 1900s? Some people out in the lobby, all right? If you're around in the 1900s, you know about this thing called the mall. And so as a kid, I remember going to the Salisbury Mall, and next to Boscov's was the Orange Julius. Praise the Lord for Orange Julius. And next to the Orange Julius at the Salisbury Mall used to be a pet store. And as a kid, the pet store always made me so happy. They had pet ferrets, they had pet puppies, they had pet bunnies. And so I'm like, with an Orange Julius, petting bunnies, like how can you get any happier? And so bunnies just make me happy. And speaking of bunnies, is Janet Jackson in the room? Here's Janet right here. Come on up here, Janet. Okay, there we go. Oh my goodness. Before I introduce you to the star of the show, this is Miss Janet Jackson. Not the singer, the one who works here, okay? She's better than the singer. A few weeks ago, Janet came to me and she said, if I could get some bunnies and some different animals for Easter, could I do that? And I was like, did Billy Graham have a quiet time? Yes, you can. And so we have Nemo here. And Nemo's been a good sport all 4 services. Nemo eats. This boy has eaten. He is heavy, all right? I'm just saying that. That's what I'm saying. No offense, Nemo, okay? You're such a good sport. I'm a little nervous holding him because I've owned a lot of bunnies, and bunnies, they don't lay eggs. Not like you think. They like that Reese egg, sort of similar, just smaller, a little different texture. I'll give him back to you. Thank you, Janet. Oh, okay. He's going to be in the backyard. So here's the thing. If you have small kids, after the service, you can go into the backyard and you can get a picture with your kid can get a picture with Nemo. I will be the 43-year-old in the line waiting to get a picture with Nemo. All right. But didn't that bunny just make some of you happier? Listen, there's certain things that just make us happier no matter what is going on in our life. That's why I named this message The Goodest News, because I think Easter can be that thing for you today. Because I think when we really get what Easter is all about, we can't help but get a little bit happier. Just smile for me, just a little smile. We can't help it, okay? Because when we know what Jesus did for us, it should change our lives. So can I just tell you a few things about Easter? Remember the get out sooner thing if I ask a question. Can I tell you something about Easter? All right. Here's why we should be happy. Easter, because Jesus is risen, means that our sins are completely 100% forgiven. Because Jesus is risen, God has erased our past completely from his sight. He can't see that bad park job you did up in the parking lot today. Because Jesus is risen, our future is set. Our eternity is secure. Because Jesus is risen, you can 100% have hope in this basement right now because the risen King is in the room. His presence is here with us. Easter should be that thing that we realize that means if Jesus walked out of the grave, he is risen. He must be God's son. And if he is risen, that means we can have happiness and joy in this place no matter what is going on in our life because he's risen. And everybody who's traditional just say, he's risen indeed. He's risen indeed. Now, I'm a realist. I know some of you are like, well, all right, bunny, pastor guy, whatever your job is here. I don't know what you do. You hold bunnies, but Easter doesn't make me all that happy. In fact, the only reason I'm here is to make my spouse happy or my mom happy or my dad happy who made me come do this. And I do this just so I can get like a free brunch afterwards. And I get that. And I'm so glad that you're here. And I just want to tell you one thing, that the original Easter story has been making people happier who weren't very happy about it since the very first Easter Sunday. And if you know the story, I think that maybe it'll help you get a little bit happier about being here, even though it is 987 degrees in this room right now. So, let me kind of take you back to the first Easter. Easter really begins at 3 p.m. on Friday when Jesus died on a cross. Now, just so you know, secular historians agree that Jesus was a real person. Secular historians believe that Jesus really was crucified on the cross. There's so much evidence to prove that. But Jesus had 2 friends after he died on the cross, Nicodemus and a guy named Joseph of Arimathea. And they took his body off of the cross. They quickly prepared his body for burial by 6 p.m. so that they could honor the Sabbath. And then they all had the worst weekend. They were like, we just saw our friend, the guy who we thought was going to change everything. He died in front of our eyes. But then watch what happens. And this is in Matthew, starting in chapter 28. And we'll put this on the screen for you to follow along. It said, early on Sunday morning. I would like to acknowledge that you guys didn't come to the early service on Sunday morning. So this is not about you, okay? That was we had church at 7:15 this morning. Anyway, that was early. Early on Sunday morning. As the new day was dawning, Mary Magdalene and the other Mary, that would be Jesus' mom, Mary, went out to visit the tomb. But suddenly there was a great earthquake. For an angel of the Lord came down from heaven, rolled aside the stone, and he sat on it. His face shone like lightning, and his clothing was as white as snow. The guards shook with fear when they saw him, and they fell into a dead faint. Then the angel spoke to the woman. Don't be afraid, he said. I know you're looking for Jesus who was crucified. Come on, he isn't here. He is risen from the dead, just as he said would happen. So that's the exciting part about Easter. And the women, they ran. They got out of there. They ran from the tomb. They were frightened, but also, they were filled with great joy. I just came to church to tell you that why were these ladies who were sad all of a sudden happy? Because Easter has been making people happier since 00 AD. And so Jesus making people happier and Jesus coming out of that tomb should be something we all celebrate. Now here's the thing. I don't think we can really appreciate the power of Easter until we appreciate what Jesus went through first. It kind of reminds me of my worst habit. And if you're a new person here, this is going to be very embarrassing for me. But if you're a regular here, what is my favorite drink in the entire world? Mountain Dew. Okay. Now, hi, my name is Joel, and I'm addicted to Mountain Dew. Hi, Joel. Okay, that's me. It's so bad. And here's how bad it is. Every day I wake up, I do this Monday through Saturday, all right? I don't do this on Sunday. Monday through Saturday, the first thing I do is I wake up, I crawl out of my bed, I get in my car, I drive straight to Royal Farms, and I get a big old Mountain Dew. And I'm not proud of it, but it is who I am, people. And you might say, well, Joe, why don't you do that on Sunday mornings? Well, here's why. I don't think you need to see me under the influence of Mountain Dew, okay? And so I go after church on Sundays to Royal Farms, okay? I'm in there every single day. So I talked to the Royal Farms manager. I'm like starting to get to know this guy, and his name is Brett. I call him my dew dealer, all right? He's my dew dealer. I have a picture with Brett. Right here's my dew dealer, Brett. Brett and his entire, listen, this is true. Brett and his entire family came to service at 8:30 this morning. So they were in the room. My dealer came to church. And so a few weeks ago, Brett wasn't there all week long. And I'm like, where's Brett? Like, he didn't give me a heads up. I need my dew dealer. And so that next Monday, he was back at work and he was walking a little slow. And I'm like, Brett, are you good, man? And he said, well, I had surgery last weekend and I shouldn't be here today, but like I'm here and I'm a little bit of a knucklehead. That's why I came to work, even though I wasn't supposed to be at work. And he said, have I ever told you that I got in a really bad accident 6 years ago? Now, me and Brett talk a lot. I don't know if you heard, I'm in Royal Farms every single day. And so we were always talking, and Brett said, well, let me tell you the story. I didn't know the story. And he said, 6 years ago, I was in Baltimore. By the way, Brett is a Ravens fan because he loves Jesus, all right? So he's from Baltimore. He said, I was at this intersection in Baltimore, and I was in my little Toyota Yaris, and he said, this big old truck going 60 to 70 miles an hour came up and hit me, never even touched the brakes. And he said, I found out later that the guy driving the big old truck was a drug dealer who literally got shot the day before, and he was very drunk. That guy was very drunk the day that he hit my friend Brett. And he said, Brett said when the paramedics came, this guy had hit him so hard that his front seat had ejected from the window and was laying on the road, and somehow, and he doesn't even know how to this day, somehow he was still laying in the floorboard of the car. And he said everything was kind of like broken and he said, I was in a coma for 93 days. 93 days. And he said, the doctor kept on saying to his wife rather, do you want us to unplug him? And his wife kept on saying, no, don't unplug him. You don't know this man. This man is a fighter. Ravens fans. This man is a fighter. He said, he said, I have family in Italy. He said, I literally have family praying for me all around the world. And he said, at day 93, his eyes opened back up. And he said, God saved me. Okay, thank you for the golf clap. But 93 days. You got to imagine me. He's telling me this in Royal Farms at like 6:30 in the morning. I'm about to kick over a Dorito stand and be like, this guy ringing you up, he's Lazarus. Do you even know who this guy is? I didn't fully appreciate my man Brett until I understood what he went through. That's how Easter is. We can't appreciate the power of Easter today unless we appreciate what Jesus went through first. And so let's start with the non-pastel-y, not pretty side of Easter. And this is in Mark chapter 15, starting in verse 22. It says the soldiers brought Jesus to Golgotha, meaning Skull Hill. And they offered him a mild painkiller, which would have been wine mixed with myrrh, but he wouldn't take it. And they nailed him to the cross. Now don't miss this. We are not here this morning on Resurrection Sunday unless Jesus went through the pain of being nailed on that cross on Friday first, right? And so Easter is the goodest news, but for it to be the goodest news, we got to understand a few things about the cross first. And so we'll put this on the screen. The first thing is the cross was vicious. Everybody say vicious. Now, I'm going to get a little graphic on this part, and I know it's kind of, you're probably like, well, come on, Joe, it's Easter, and we just want to go to brunch later. Don't do the graphic thing. I got to do the graphic thing. Why? Because to appreciate Easter, we got to appreciate what Jesus went through first. And so the crucifixion was not invented by the Romans. It was invented by the Persians. The Romans are the ones who perfected the crucifixion. And their goal was simple. Make it as painful as possible. Keep the person alive as long as possible so they could suffer as much as possible until they ultimately suffocated to death and died on the cross. It was vicious. And so in order to breathe on the cross, Jesus would have had to push up on these nails. Now, we know this about Jesus. We know he spoke 7 times while he was on the cross. So just imagine this. Jesus, his back is completely open from being beaten with a whip, and he's got all these nails holding him up, and every time he wanted to breathe, he had to push up, get air, and then speak. And he did that 7 times. It was vicious, okay? The other thing about it is we know that Jesus had 7 wound sites on his body. All right, so he had the 2 nail holes in his hands where the nails were driven through his hands. The feet were not what you think, okay? The feet, they would have overlapped his feet together. They would have turned his leg sideways, bent him at the knee, and they would have put 1 nail through both heel bones because the heel bone was the only thing strong enough to hold the body up on the cross. And so that's 2 more wounds on his heels. His hands, his head had a crown of thorns on it that were in his head. So that's another wound area. His back had been open from being whipped. And then ultimately they put a spear in his side. And so he had 7 wound areas. He spoke 7 times on this cross. Why? Because 7 is symbolic of perfection and Jesus was perfect. And so he was on this cross for 6 hours before he suffocated to death and died. The cross was vicious. Would you agree? Yes. Okay. Now let's move on to the next part. The cross was voluntary. And this part, I don't know if you ever thought about this. I've been obsessed with this Easter. The cross was voluntary. This blows my mind. This is what Jesus said before he ever went on the cross. This is in John 10:18, and this is so tough. He says, no one can take my life from me. Nobody. I sacrifice it, what? Voluntarily. Wild, man. This week I was thinking about you can tell it that next picture. I was thinking about the movie The Hunger Games. You remember this back in 2010 or 20? You remember it's The Hunger Games? Okay, I'm curious. And Overflow, please raise your hand. I can see you. I got spies out there. All right. How many of you read the book The Hunger? You read it? Okay. Some nerds in the 11 o'clock. All right. I'm more of a movie person, if you can't tell. But I remember when I went and saw this movie at Midway, it was jammed. This was a huge thing. When this movie came out, there were people everywhere. I'm pretty sure I saw a 40-year-old bald dude dressed as Katniss Everdeen. It was crazy. And I watched the movie, ate some snow caps during it. I'm like, man, this is great. And then I went home and my mom was like, hey, what is this movie? Everybody's talking about this movie. What is this movie about? And so I started explaining the plot. And as I started explaining, I'm like, holy cow, that's messed up. Because I'm like, there's 24 kids, and they go in this battle until there's only 1 kid left, and they're all forced to do it. And Katniss Everdeen kind of stepped in for her sister, but she didn't really want to do it, but she did do it. And my mom was like, that is messed up. And I'm thinking, I shouldn't have eaten snow caps during this one. That just seems crazy. Here's the thing. Do not Hollywood Jesus. Jesus was not forced to go up on the cross. He wasn't like a reluctant tribute like Katniss Everdeen was, okay? When Jesus was on the cross, he could have called down 12 legions. Everybody say 12 legions. 12 legions of angels to help rescue him. How many angels is that? A lot. On the cross, he could have shot lightning bolts out of his eyeballs. Lightning blasted all the Roman soldiers and left them a little greasy spot where they stood. On the cross, I'm sure when the Roman soldiers were putting Jesus on the cross, they were thinking, we're overpowering this guy, we're big and strong. And I'm sure Jesus played along oh, don't hurt me, big bad guys with your chisels or whatever. Please. Listen, Jesus went to that cross voluntarily. Do not make any mistake about it. He volunteered his life as tribute to pay for our sins. And this is important. Nails did not hold him there. It was love. It was love for me and you and all of us, which is why Easter is the goodest news. Can't we thank him that he is the voluntary person who went to the cross? It's hard to wrap my head around. Okay, the cross was vicious. It was voluntary. And then it was victorious. The best part. Okay, say the best for last. Luke 24, verse 6 says, he isn't here. He is risen from the dead. I just want you to know, Jesus went into that grave like we go into an Airbnb. Jesus is like, I just need to borrow it for the weekend. Out of there. I mean, Jesus turned the cross into an Airbnb. And the cross, okay, here's the thing. The cross was victorious. It was voluntary. It was vicious. It was all these things. But what it really did is it changed everything. Like, our past is changed because of the cross. The things that you're worried about, like you hope no one knows about, and you're like, I'm so ashamed of that thing. God's like, I don't even know what you're talking about. When God looks at our past, he sees the cross. The cross changed our past. Okay, also, not only is our past changed, our future has changed. And if you're a Jesus follower, get ready to get rowdy. All right, overflow. I expect something out of you. You were headed to hell, and now you're not. Feel free to go wild at any point. And if that's not already the goodest news, let's put a cherry on top. You are headed to heaven, baby. Come on, feel free to go wild at any point. Again. It's wild. Okay. Now, I've been thinking about heaven a lot, and I really went to a cool place last Friday. And this may have been the coolest place I've ever been besides our basement. I love our basement. Okay, any basement that has bunnies and Reese cups and you all in here, like this is a good place to be. But I went to this place in Virginia, and I'm like, this is the coolest place. I think it might be the coolest place in the world. All right, which I didn't expect. Like, I have a bucket list item. I want to go to Bora Bora one day. Probably never happen, but I thought that's got to be the greatest place in the world. Nope. Greatest place in the world is in Virginia Beach. We actually have a picture. This is me selfieing at the Atlantic Park Surf in Virginia Beach. Has anybody heard of the Atlantic Park Surf? Okay, let me tell you about it. I'll be putting my little sales pitch hat on real quick. This is a $350 million wave pool that the Pharrell Williams helped fund in Virginia Beach. It holds 6 million gallons of water. It's got a lagoon around it, stadium lighting, and it has perfect waves all day, every single day. And so I know I'm a 43-year-old pastor, but I'm also a 43-year-old surfer. And so when I walked in here, I was like, I have found heaven. Pharrell Williams built it. Oh my goodness. And so a lot of you know we have land. We're going to build a new building eventually, hopefully sooner than later. But in our new building, the goodest news is we're putting one of these in. You're never getting rid of me, all right? All we need is 350 mil, all right? No, I'm just kidding. And I know it's about brunch time, and it's also about Mountain Dew time for me. But can I show you a little video my brother took of me on this trip? Okay, this is 13 seconds, I think. Look at this thing. Look how blue that water is. Pharrell Williams. That was actually all AI. That wasn't me. No, I'm kidding. If it was AI, I would have made the water Mountain Dew colored. You know what I mean? But it was like one of the best days ever, all right? And my wife actually got me that as a gift for my birthday, and that was great. The bad thing is I'm hooked now, and it is expensive, and so I just need to announce to the church I'm going to start Ubering in the area. So I'll probably be picking a lot of you up at the Starboard late on Friday night, all right? It'll be awkward for you, but I'll get you home safe, I promise. Here's the thing. That place felt a little bit like heaven to me. But I also want to say this. That is nothing compared to heaven. Holy moly. Listen, heaven is going to be so good, we can't even wrap our minds around how good it's going to be. I'm fascinated with heaven right now. You know, the Bible talks about heaven somewhere between 350 and 500 times. And you would think, since it talks about it that much, you would be like, well, we know a ton about it, right? Wrong. We don't really know a ton about it, and I think there's a reason for that. Is our minds can't comprehend how good it's going to be. And so instead of the Bible telling us what is going to be in heaven, most of the time the Bible tells us what's not going to be there. And so can I tell you what's not going to be there? Okay, in heaven there's going to be no more tears. In heaven there's going to be no more aches and pains and hitches in your giddy up. Come on, somebody. In heaven, no more health insurance, no more co-payments, no more deductibles. In heaven, no more family drama. And if you came to church as a family today, I know there was some drama on the way here. In heaven, there's going to be no more addiction, no more loneliness, no more mental health struggles, no more bullies, no more deaths, no more funerals, no more miscarriages, no more politics, no more taxes, no more traffic on Route 24. Come on, get in here, somebody. It's going to be so good we can't even wrap around it. We just know what's not going to be there. Now, this is important for me to clarify. Easter is not the goodest news just because our past is forgiven and our future is heaven. Easter is the goodest news, the best news, however you want to put it, because when Jesus comes into our life, we start to change right now. When Jesus is on board us, when he comes on board us, like he arrives on us, like he starts to change who we are. Jesus, I just want to tell you, Jesus is on board. Everybody say, Jesus is on board. Okay, so I found out something this week I didn't know. Apparently all 3 services before this one, they all knew. You probably know this too. I didn't know this. I didn't know that whenever the president enters a plane, that plane itself, no matter what plane it is, becomes Air Force One. How, you all knew this? Okay, I felt very dumb in 4 services. 4 out of 4. I thought Air Force One was a specific plane. Okay, no, it's a call sign. And so if the president gets on, let's say Bob the crop duster's plane, you know, the plane that's going to crop dust, I don't know, Farmer John's farm in Sussex County. Do you know the crop duster is Air Force One? That happens when he gets on the plane. I mean, listen, nothing happens when I get on a plane, okay? Nothing. I was on a plane 3 weeks ago, and the only thing that happened is I was landlocked. You ever been landlocked on it? Like I was in the middle seat. My family always is like, Dad, take one for the team. You're in the middle. They don't even ask. They're like, sit in the middle. So I sat in the middle, and there was this guy next to me, and on the aisle seat, he had taken every sleeping pill imaginable. He was in his own version of heaven. He was snoring the whole flight. I am not lying about this. I had to climb over my seat, the back of my seat, to go to the bathroom. This man was enjoying his flight. I was not. Nothing happens when I go on a plane. But when when the president gets on a plane, it becomes Air Force One. And here's the thing, when Jesus enters our life, when we're the vessel, by the way, when he enters this vessel, all of a sudden, we start to change. Now, not everything changes, not all at once. It's a lifetime journey, but we start to change. Why? Because our call sign is not Air Force One. Our call sign is all hail King Jesus. He is the risen King. He is the risen Savior. He is living in me, and that changes us. And one of the things it should change, it should change our joy. The joy of the Lord is our strength. Now, I'm not a history guy. Where are the history buffs in the room? You just love history? Okay. All right. You guys are book readers too, probably. I'm going to tell you a history story. If I get any of the details inaccurate, at least I'm forgiven and free. I'm going to do my best. Okay. But I thought this was fascinating. So in U.S. history, only 8 presidents have died while in office. 4 have died of natural causes. 4 have died from assassinations. But only one of those that was assassinated shouldn't have died. And that is our 20th president, and it's this guy. We all know who this is. Just kidding. This is Bay Shore. Everybody's like, I have no idea who this is. This is James Garfield, the 20th president. And 4 months into his presidency, he was at a train station with his family to go on vacation. And this guy struggling with mental illness came up and shot him in the back. And the bullet didn't kill him, okay? In fact, they did everything they could to save his life. And he lived for 2 months after he got shot. Some interesting things that happened. Alexander Graham Bell, who created the telephone, he created the x-ray machine after James Garfield got shot just to help find the bullet in James Garfield. So that's something Alexander Graham Bell did. Also, the U.S. Navy invented the air conditioning machine because of James Garfield, because it was in the summer when he got shot, and the White House was hot, so they were trying to cool him down to make him comfortable. So just some wild things that happened. And so James Garfield, he should have lived, but the reason he didn't live is because his doctor. Now his doctor, his name was, this is real, his doctor's name was Dr. Bliss. His first name, if you caught it, was Doctor. Dr. Bliss, real name, okay? You would think that this guy is like the best doctor. If you're born and your name's Doctor, you should be great, right? Wrong. Because Dr. Bliss didn't believe in germs, and we knew that germs and bacteria were a real thing back in the 1800s, but he apparently thought the dirtier the better. And so he kept on putting his unwashed fingers into the wound of James Garfield to get that bullet out. And he had a philosophy. Like I said, the dirtier the better. His staff didn't wash their scrubs because he thought if people saw blood on the scrubs, that meant they were working really hard. This is who we put in charge to save the president. And so 2 months after James Garfield was shot, he died because of a bacterial infection. And his autopsy literally says that his wound was distinctly survivable. The reason he didn't reach his destiny of being president for a full term is because Dr. Bliss kept on sticking his dirty fingers in that wound. I tell you that story because that's the exact opposite thing that happens when we touch the wounds of Jesus. Listen, this is Isaiah 53:5, and it says this. It says, by his wounds, and we know there were 7 wounds, by his wounds, we are healed. You are healed. Listen, the news is so good. When we touch the wounds of Jesus, we are healed. And not only are we healed, we come back to life. But don't forget, Jesus gave up his life on the cross, and it was vicious. It was voluntary. It was victorious. And he temporarily gave up his life so that we could have permanent, abundant life. Listen, it's the goodest news. It's the news. It's the thing that should make us happier no matter what's going on in our life. Jesus' blood has the power to change all of our destinies right now. It's powerful. Now, I want to end by telling you a story. And we'll put up a picture that represents the story. The story is called, Who is the Most Powerful? Once upon a time, there was this boy. And this boy was on a quest to find out who was the most powerful. And so he first went to iron, the metal. And he said, iron, you have to be the most powerful. You are strong. You are metal. And iron said, I wish I was the most powerful. But if you put me in fire, I will start to heat up and I will be able to be bent and I can melt. And so the boy thought, well, it must be fire. Fire must be the most powerful. So the boy goes to fire and says, fire, are you the most powerful? You can make metal. You can make iron bend. And fire says, I'm pretty powerful. But if you pour water on me, I lose my power. And so the boy goes to water and says, water, since you can put out fire, you must be the most powerful. And water says, I'm not the most powerful because sunlight can dry me up. And so the boy thought, well, it's got to be sun. The sun has got to be the most powerful because the sun is massive and it's majestic and it's so powerful. So he went to the sun and he said, sun, are you the most powerful? You can dry up water. And the sun said, I'm huge, I'm powerful. But it's funny, just a little cloud can get in front of my light and put out my power. So the boy goes to the clouds and says, clouds, are you the most powerful? You can put out sunlight. And the clouds said, we can't handle wind. If it gets windy, it just blows us and moves us away. And so the boy went to the wind and said, wind, are you the most powerful? I mean, you can move a cloud and a cloud can put out the sun like you're the most powerful. And the wind said, I've been blowing for all of time and I've moved almost everything, but I can't move a mountain. And so the boy goes to the mountain and the mountain is huge and he thinks, surely it's got to be the mountain. The mountain is so monstrous when I look at it. And he says, mountain, you are the most powerful, aren't you? And the mountain said, you would think, but if you give a man a chisel, he can break me apart. And so the boy goes to man and says, man, are you the most powerful? You can break apart a mountain. And the man says, there's one thing I've never had power over, and that is death. And the boy is dejected because he thinks, I've been looking for the most powerful one, and I don't think I'll ever run into death, and I don't know how to find the most powerful one. And he runs into death on his way home. And he says, death, it's you. You're the final boss. You must be the most powerful one. And death is all proud and arrogant. And death says, I have killed kings and I have killed peasants. I have killed the rich and I have killed the poor. But there was this one guy that everybody said was the most powerful, and they crucified him. And while they were crucifying him, they cheered and they mocked him, but he still died. And I threw the biggest party I've ever thrown because I took out the most powerful one. And for 3 days, I celebrated that he was in the grave. But he said, 3 days later, that man got up and he took away my power. He stole the keys from me. He made me bow down to him. He came back to life and he beat me. And the kid said, who is he? What is his name? And death said, his name is Jesus Christ. He is the most powerful one of them all. That's who we celebrate on Easter. And the goodest news for you is if you've never accepted him, you can do it right now, just like that. And the same power that raised Jesus from the dead can start entering your life, and it can start changing you, not overnight. We're all on this lifelong journey. But Easter is about a Savior, not on a cross. It's about a Savior that was powerful enough to overcome death so he can help us overcome whatever we face in our past, overcome anything we face in our present, and overcome in our eternity when we spend forever with him. Aren't you thankful for that?